My name is Kai. I'm 23 years old. I have always felt a little left out in my family. My little sister Gigi, who is 20 years old, has always been a favorite. From the moment she was born, our parents, Mom Julia, 46, and Dad Harris, 48, have shown her special attention because she is a girl. In addition, Gigi was born just 1 week after the death of our grandmother, Gianna, whom she was named after. Despite the circumstances, my parents' preference for Gigi was always noticeable, which led to my estrangement from the rest of the family. I am now preparing for an important event in my life. My fiancé Remy, who is 22 years old, and I are getting married next week. I proposed 2 years ago and have been actively planning our wedding ever since. All the details have been taken care of, the date chosen, invitations sent out, menus, and clothes picked out. We announced the date 5 months ago and carefully planned everything together with Remy's family who live in France. However, last month the unexpected happened. Gigi was arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol and sentenced to a month in jail. This has caused great outrage in our family. Gigi's supporters think this is unfair, arguing that she is just a child. Personally, I can't agree with this considering Gigi is an adult. This incident will probably serve as a serious warning to her. Now the difficulty before me is that Gigi will not be able to attend my wedding. This saddens me because despite everything, she is my sister and I would like to see her on the big day. However, our parents feel that having the wedding during her incarceration is unfair. They suggest that we move the celebration so that she can attend. I discussed the situation with Remy. We agreed that it is too late to cancel the wedding a week before it takes place. Tickets for her family have already been purchased. We also agreed that canceling the event because of one person would be unfair to the invitees, which numbered about 40. Such a decision would have caused unnecessary stress, additional expense, and panic. I shared these thoughts with my family. They considered my behavior rude and stated that they would not attend the wedding without my sister's presence. In response, I asked them not to contact me again if they were not willing to support me in this important moment. I reminded them that they had always preferred Gigi and expressed disappointment that they had never been there for me. This argument escalated into a major conflict, during which I stated that if they did not attend my wedding, they could stay out of my life. My decision triggered a wave of angry messages not only from my parents, but also from my aunts and uncles. This was especially painful since I expected them to support me at such an important time. Their refusal to come to the wedding deeply hurt me. You are not wrong in your feelings. I hug you, realizing that your parents' preference for your sister upsets you. I find it odd that your sister's first punishment turned out to be jail time. Usually there are more lenient penalties for such offenses, unless something serious happened at the time the fine was received. You don't have the power to change your wedding date magically, so keep preparing for the celebration. Your parents have often disappointed you because after the birth of your sister, you are no longer their priority. If you haven't sought psychological help until now, it might be worth it to do so. Explain to your parents that the wedding date is unchangeable, and if they insist on changing it, they must cover all the costs involved. They probably won't do this because they can't find a lawyer to defend your sister. You can also announce on your social media that since your sister was arrested for drunk driving and won't be able to attend the wedding because of her choice, some of your family has decided not to attend in solidarity with her. This is your chance to start a new life with your partner, albeit with heartbreak. The lack of support from them may be more effective for you. I'm sorry, but if it takes anger and ultimatums to get the attention of loved ones, is their presence at your wedding really worth it? I doubt those who show up at the last minute will be genuinely happy for you. More likely they will only complain. I'm sorry you've encountered this attitude, and I hope your wedding brings you many happy moments for the rest of your life. It seems like you will only be better off without people like that in your life. Having to give ultimatums is a really bad way to start your wedding day with unhappy and disgruntled relatives. Find joy with those who choose to celebrate the beginning of your new life. You could tell them you're sorry for their choice, and if you want to be a little ballsy, you could promise to send them pictures. Or, to add irony, you could insert a picture of Gigi with angel wings and a grill in front of her face into the photos. Although I wouldn't actually do that, but sometimes those thoughts cross my mind. Update number 1. I remember when I told my parents that I wouldn't speak to them again if they chose to side with my sister. This was after I found out that my sister had been drugged while returning from a party. She claimed that she was forced to do it. But I don't agree because she's an adult. Remy got a message from my mom. It said that I was acting disrespectfully, standing up to the family. This message really upset Remy. She even considered canceling the wedding because of it. I got angry, letting my anger take over. I confronted my mom, Julia, and wrote to her. I asked her why she thought it was okay to send such messages to Remy. I texted her that I was surprised to hear that she thought it was acceptable. I also reminded her that she knew my opinion of the golden child in the family. Because of her behavior, my sister ended up in jail. My mother replied that she and my father would not be attending my wedding. She said it didn't matter to her. I was used to being treated that way. It was always all about Gigi, not me. I blocked my mom. Honestly, I don't care. I hope I did the right thing. I'm really proud of you, supporting you out loud. Your mother doesn't seem to see the situation fully and tends to blame everyone around her but herself. No wonder your sister is repeating her behavior. After all, it's impossible that the blame for her drug and driving behaviors can be placed on her, right? You took the smartest course of action under the circumstances. I know it wasn't easy. Your parents will probably continue to act like they don't care until you and Remy have kids. And even then, when your sister starts having them, you'll be sidelined again. You did the right thing by staying firm last year before Thanksgiving. My brother, who is also considered the golden child, was arrested for attempted assault with a sword in front of his wife and 2 young children. My mother tried to get everyone to cancel celebrations. My birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, my nephew's birthday, and my sister's birthday because it wasn't fair. This led to a tremendous amount of drama, including scenes of them coming over to yell at me. My sister-in-law spoke up more than once about it because she wouldn't lie to the police about the incident, and it was perceived as her fault. Yes, I helped her file for divorce, got her out of that small town, and cut ties with those toxic narcissistic idiots. Life is so much better now. Don't fall for that manipulation. You're tough too, Kai. I hope your wedding is amazing and that you and Remy have a wonderful life together. Update number 2. Yesterday, I told my parents that I wouldn't talk to them again if they chose to side with my sister. This morning, I woke up and heard a text from my dad. I blocked my mom yesterday and apparently forgot to block him. Dad texted me asking if I was going to change my wedding date. He seriously thinks I should do it for one person. That one person is your sister. She's innocent. She's your real family, Kai. Do it. She's going through a hard time and she's very upset she can't make it. He added, "We didn't raise you like this." I replied, "You hardly raised me at all, Dad. Stop exaggerating. I can't worry about you right now. Mom wants to talk to you, unblock her." I said no, we have nothing to talk about. I'm not going to change the wedding date, and this is the final decision. We're not coming, he said. I replied that I don't care and I didn't even invite them. I blocked him after that, realizing I had done the right thing and wouldn't ask them for advice again. Remy's parents are supposed to arrive today. I know they are very nice. I feel like they are a real family, unlike my parents. Congratulations on your wedding. Your words indicate that she's not a real family to you. If you didn't invite them, I would recommend having security at the event. They can help if your parents show up unexpectedly or start causing problems. This is a good idea. I also recommend contacting all of your wedding vendors and setting up a password on the accounts. This will prevent unauthorized tampering by your parents. Your example shows that in-laws don't always mean family. Your life will be much happier and more peaceful without them. Continue to live your best life with Remy and her family. Never feel guilty for deciding to block your toxic blood relatives. Next story. My wife and I recently celebrated the joyous occasion of the birth of our firstborn son. This is the 4th child for my spouse. During her first pregnancy, the family was critical of the name she chose. In response, she began suggesting absurd made-up names, defending them with unrelenting enthusiasm. Subsequently, to everyone's relief, she would discard these options at the last minute and choose more traditional names. Finding this amusing, we named our daughter Grenadine. Although parents on both sides did not express an opinion, my wife and I continued to view the name as a joke because we didn't like it. Sometime after the announcement of our baby's gender and name, my brother announced his intention to change his gender, which came as no surprise and was met with only polite approval. After being discharged from the hospital, we brought home a daughter, temporarily named Susan for the sake of privacy. After my parents arrived, they expressed relief and joy about the newborn and the new name. However, my sister took me aside and inquired about the reason for the name change. I explained that it was just a joke and was never considered a serious choice. She became angry as she had taken the name Grenadine to heart. After hearing the name, she felt a special connection to it and began using it with friends and in her daily life outside of the family. She began to feel like we were laughing at her behind her back. Her mood deteriorated, and now, despite my attempts to reconcile, she refuses to talk to me or acknowledge the baby when we come to visit. Living with my parents, my sister still can't forgive me and continues to hold a grudge. You are not an idiot. It sounds like your sister needs to talk to a therapist about personal boundaries and self-esteem. She chose to name her newborn niece for herself, not anticipating that it would provoke quite a bit of drama. It seems she expected to create conflict and is disappointed that her plan didn't work. Now she's upset for other reasons. I think she expected to tell people that the baby was named after her, and now she's unhappy that she can't tell that story. You have the right to make jokes and the right to name your baby whatever you see fit. You can't know what your sister says to her friends when you're not around. Your sister seems to be exhibiting protagonist syndrome. It's not about your baby's name, as you've already realized. It's about you denying her the opportunity to speak in public. She wanted you to argue with her about the name Grenadine and how she uses it. At some point, you could have been blamed for not accepting her choice and would have been the villain in her eyes. Now, by not getting into a name dispute, you have denied her the opportunity to play the victim role. She's angry about it. Now I want to tell a different story. My husband and I divorced after he decided to move his mother in with us, which I could not agree to. He ended up doing it anyway, which was the reason for our divorce. 2 years have passed since then. Our child is now in grammar school. He often asks questions about why we can't be a normal family. My ex-husband blames me and tells our child that I didn't want to help his grandmother, so I left. This is indeed true. However, he glosses over the context of these events. As a child, I cared for my grandparents who suffered from dementia. I swore to myself then that I would never take on such a responsibility again. When we were together, I was a homemaker, and it made sense that sooner or later the care of his mother would fall on my shoulders. I tried to explain this to our child, but he is too young to understand all the nuances. He only sees his father taking care of his grandmother, whom he loves very much. The situation was exacerbated last Christmas. That's when our child told me that he was extremely unhappy that we couldn't be together with Daddy. On Christmas Eve, the child was with his father, and the next day we wanted to visit my family. But our child was misbehaving, throwing tantrums, and being disobedient. This made me think about giving full custody to my ex-husband. I realized that I cannot provide our child with the kind of life my ex could provide. His mother has been diagnosed with early-onset dementia, and he is paying for her care. While my ex has funds, they are not limitless and will not be able to cover the cost of care in the long term. My ex fully understood my position. I didn't want to stay and become the one to solve all the problems. None of his family had experience with dementia and were not inclined to heed the advice of an experienced person about the need for early placement in a specialized facility. I realized it was useless to argue with people who had already made their decision. I don't regret leaving, but I do regret the years away from work when I was a stay-at-home mom. Now I'm starting over and regret my current income, which doesn't allow me to provide my son with the standard of living he's used to. So I am contemplating giving full custody to my ex. I am not eligible for spousal support since I have a college degree. At one point, I even considered letting him take full custody, and that seems like a mistake. If you are considering giving up custody, be mindful of the child's feelings. He or she may feel neglected. The child may feel that you don't think you are good enough to stay with him. As a child, it is difficult to deal with serious trauma without support. Children prefer to be around a parent who brings joy, even if the parent is having difficulty with parenting. Allow your child to spend more time with his father and his mother if he desires to do so. Right now, your child is probably only experiencing the joyful moments of life with his father and grandmother, not realizing the full picture of life with older and needy relatives. This may feel like alienation, and your ex may be actively contributing to this. This behavior may be perceived as child abuse, and a court order may be needed to protect your relationship with your child. Let your child know that you will miss him and are willing to take him back at any time. but respect his desire to live with his father on a permanent basis. This decision will strengthen your authority in your child's eyes, as you will show respect for his wishes and recognize his right to autonomy. This will contribute to his development.